Hey everybody, Ben here from Snipit Studios, and I'm back with another quick tip about designing slightly more complex paintings. So this week I'm actually hard at work on a new concept for a collaborative painting because it's the last weekend in April and it's that time again for Art All Night this year in Pittsburgh. On the south side, not in Lawrenceville. It has been for the past 20 years. They had to move it this year because there was no space available. So as always, I'm working on a collaborative painting idea. Now this year is probably the most ambitious project that I've ever worked on. There was some big anniversary for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood this year. I don't know if it was like he would have been a big round number in terms of age. If the show hit maybe, I don't know, 50 years or something, I don't know, I can't remember what it is, but I know it was a big deal because it's Pittsburgh, this is where they filmed everything, Fred Rogers is a big deal around here, so doing some sort of a tribute piece I thought would be really cool. So my partner this year does portraits considerably well. She's done like celebrity likenesses, so I thought maybe this would be a way to tackle this. So she's going to work on basically a bust, and I'm going to more or less build a both reimagined and tribute to the neighborhood of make-believe, where the trolley goes through the tunnel, and then you have some varying elements. The three I picked out though were the castle, the tree, and the museum go-round. And I am working on those. So let me show you a little bit closer what I've got here. So unlike a lot of my regular paintings, which are really just built from mini thumbnails and then bigger thumbnails, this is going to take a little bit more planning. And as you can see, it's a lot more structural. It's not just thumbnail, thumbnail, thumbnail. So I kind of started out with a few ideas. I'm like, okay, where is he going to be placed? Because I don't know yet. I'm still really working with the idea. I probably should have been working on this before the show, but this is just when I happen to get around to it. So I'm trying to think about placement, I'm trying to think about composition, but I'm also trying to do some little studies of the original source. I want to be both true to the source while still making it feel like one of my paintings, or in this case a collaborative one. So it still needs to have sort of some of the elements of my style while still being true to the original. So I've been working and looking online as much as I can about how the set was originally laid out, and the castle was more or less in the back, the tree sort of in the middle, and the museum was in the front but underneath the tree. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. So it's a lot of structural stuff, a lot of figuring out this is what this looks like. These are how the pillars look. They kind of flare out over here, and then coming in here, they kind of cut back in at the base, which is really subtle. You may not be able to see that. I may not even have it in the piece, but I need to know what I'm dealing with before I even start. So I need to do a couple sketches of the tree, which is an interesting looking tree. It kind of droops down, but it's real thick. It reminds me of a weeping willow tree, so I might try to work with that a little bit. So this entire plan for this piece is about just tackling a whole lot of problems, but more or less one at a time. So I need to work on the castle. I need to see how that looks, how I can mash it into my style and still make it kind of look, again, true to source. I don't know if I'm going to put the trolley in. I played with composition a little bit. I have a general idea of how I want to have things look, but at this point it's just about figure out the structures, then figure out the original layout, and then figure out what the thumbnail is going to look like. So before I even get to a thumbnail, which is normally what I dive right into for a regular piece, there's a lot of structural stuff here. There's a lot more pre-planning, and again, source materials, reference images, super, super, super important for a project like this. So wrapping up this quick tip, if you're working on a project that takes a little more thought, that's a little more complex, that you're pulling perhaps more than just one castle or one tree from, and you're trying to mash a bunch of things together, one, start earlier than the day before, and two, don't be afraid to get messy. Like, all of this is writing. This is museum is like a giant Doric column with Ionic central columns. So I'm observing the architecture. I'm setting up how everything looks before I even get to anything else. So yeah, I got to get back to work here. It was a fun quick tip today. Subscribe for more. If you'd like to see more of my sketchbook and more of my sketches, one, you can support me on Patreon for $1 a month, and you get access to sketchbook pages, which I actually don't think I've updated in like a month and a half, so I need to get around to that. Or you can also check out my second channel, Sketch Every Day, over here on YouTube, which I did flip-throughs of my old sketchbooks, really fun stuff like that. So be sure to subscribe for more here at Snipit Studios. Support on Patreon if you're interested in getting a hold of big packs of my sketches and really kind of get to see my workflow and my process and what that looks like. And yeah, subscribe for more. I'll see you guys next time. I'm really focused here. I gotta get back to work.